Okay, guys, so welcome to our guide to how to trade on Binance futures. Okay, so again, not financial advice, do your own research. Again, this is purely educational and trade at your own risk. Okay, cool. So we're looking at some of the pairs that I like to trade with: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Cardano or ADA. And if I'm feeling like I'm in a winning mood, I will even look at Solana. Okay, but that's pretty advanced. We're not going to touch that today. Again, this is the basics training. So let's go back to Bitcoin. Okay, cool. So Bitcoin is, of course, the reserve currency of crypto. First thing you need to do is you need to transfer money from your spot wallet, not your P2P, not anything else, to your M futures, USD M futures. Not cross margin, not coin M futures, not P2P, not pool, not funding, not isolated margin. M futures. Okay, so in this case, I wouldn't really need to transfer. I already have money in the account. Alright, cool. So first thing that we're going to do, have some situational awareness. Look at what Bitcoin is doing, and then also make sure that your margin, right, is not in cross. Make sure it's in isolated. It's a recommendation that was given to me and it works. Okay, and make sure your leverage when you start is only about 5x, so that will take your money and your gains will be based on 5 times or 10 times or 20 times how much money you put into the trade. Usually we want to start with 5x. But we're going to go with 15 because I only got $4 available in this account. And you need a minimum of $48 to trade with Binance. Okay, so it's like trading with 60 bucks. Alright, so now we're going to see, well, what is Bitcoin doing? Right? You can see the difference between the bid and the ask. Right, you can see I have an ADA trade going right now. Nothing too special, but purely informational. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research. And of course, trading requires risk. Okay, so let's hop into the charts. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. And so we can kind of take a deeper dive into where we want to get an entry. Okay, and you're gonna hit the candlestick button to get to the chart. Okay, so automatically most charts will open up at the 50-minute. 50-minute is my favorite time frame. But if we want to be pro, we're gonna start on a higher time frame and get market structure and then work our way down. Okay, so let's go to a 4-hour. Right? Let's not get lost in the sauce. So on a 4-hour, you can clearly see that a couple of days ago, Bitcoin took a tumble and took a nice retrace to the upside. Then it retraced to the downside, went up, and it's kind of doing this up-down caterpillar thing, which is great because we're kind of sort of catching it towards the middle and on the downside. Ideally, we would want to catch this at the bottom half of the Bollinger Bands. kind of like what we saw on Wednesday. But for the sake of this exercise, we are going to start looking at it on a scalping sort of a trade. Okay, cool. So on the hourly, again, you can see there was a big retrace yesterday, followed by another retrace early this morning, and it appears to be a small breakout is trying to form. We don't really want to miss that, but ideally, of course, we always want to have our price be on that bottom purple line if we're going to make a buy. But again, for the sake of this exercise, we'll continue on. All right, cool. So now we're on the 15-minute. Back to my favorite time frame. And you can see that there was a solid retrace. We went below that dark purple line. And now we're going up. And then we showed that middle line as support, which is probably about 50,000. And now we're trying to make a breakout. But let's go in a little bit deeper. So I like a 5-minute when I'm about to execute. And you can see when you're looking at the MACD, things are going green. Let's go even tighter on a 3-minute. Okay, something's about to happen. All right, great. I don't want to panic buy and get into the position right away. I want to take my time and do what wealthy traders do, which is they wait for a retrace. They wait for red. So buy on red, sell on green. Buy on red, sell on green. All right, cool. So a lot of people ask me what are my indicators. Pretty straightforward. Okay, I use my brain, but also I use Bollinger Bands, right? Okay, those are my settings on the Bollinger Bands. Okay, moving averages, those are my settings. Okay, EMA. Okay, and yeah, all right, cool. So we can clearly see that a move is happening. And one thing I want to keep in mind, fast up, fast down. Very important. So let me repeat, fast moves to the upside are usually followed by fast moves to the downside. Okay, so don't panic buy. Yes, there's such a thing as panic buying. Just like panic selling, do not panic into a trade because market makers can add and remove liquidity to get you excited and therefore you FOMO. So this is the no FOMO club. We do not hop into trades based on a fear of missing out. Okay, so now we're seeing some red printing. I'm going to want to look at least hopping into the 50% of that green candle. Okay, all right, ideally we're looking at lower than that, but 50% is pretty good, right? Again, this is purely informational. This is not part of my sniper series that will be coming later on. All right, cool. So we have an idea that 340 range looks really good, but we can see that the price is moving. The difference between bid and ask is getting closer. Price is going up. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to situate a limit order, not a market order. And the reason why is when you hit market, especially on Binance, they will give you, on a long, they'll give you the most premium price, right? And to their credit, you're using their software and of course their platform, and they can do what they want. So I've had times where the spread between a limit order and a market was 20 to 50 pips. It's not really worth starting in the red because you were anxious. Okay, so now we are going to make sure we are monitoring price. We can see there was a bit of a run up, but remember we said fast move up, fast move down. So we're now getting into the 300s. Okay, let's switch back to limit. Oh, there's my alarm, and we'll talk about harmonics later on. All right. We're gonna actually hop right in very shortly here, being patient. We're going back to our 3-minute graph to see what's going on. 1 minute is just like way too much information. Okay, so we know we gotta make a move before this thing starts going. Okay, all right, and yeah, crypto can move that fast. You can do 200, you can do 500 pips in a minute. I've seen it hundreds of times. Okay, cool. So we're gonna set our price maybe 400, kind of puttering around here. Okay, you're gonna go for 100% in the case my available margin is very low, so I'll need 100%. But in other cases, you won't if you have larger amounts of money. Okay, cool. So the next thing we're going to do is set a stop loss. So I would recommend about 150 to 250 pips. Okay, if you're on really low leverage, like 2 or 3x leverage, you can go as low as a 500 pip stop loss if you'd like. But there's always a better way, which is setting up when you hit stop. Okay, all right, so now we're gonna go with 380. I think we're gonna be able to catch that on the downside. Okay, we just hit buy long and it says success. Now you're gonna click the open orders button to the left of the positions button. Okay, and you're gonna see you have one open order, and you can clearly see that my ADA trade has a sell at profit, so meaning that I have a stop loss that's in profit. Okay, but I also have a limit buy order that is not filled. As you can see, there's 0 amount filled, and we're just pretty, oh look, it actually took the order. That's very good. Let's go back to positions, and bam, because we waited, we actually started in profit as opposed to starting at a loss if we had anxiously got in by buying by market. Very expensive mistake I've made before. And look, wow, we're already up 2.34%. Now that's somebody's yearly gains on a bond or a treasury note. Okay, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to make sure that we have some other intermediate take profit. So ideally along the way, in case the trade turns around, you are still getting paid. Very powerful, especially with larger amounts of money. If you're trading with $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, make sure you pay yourself along the way. Okay, can't stress that enough. The team that I train, they have seen this work out so well for them, especially if price ever turns around and they take their profits and reinvest them. Very powerful. Okay, so for the obvious example here, the amount is so low that they won't allow me to take profits along the way. You would want to have a minimum of about $50 that you were trading with. Okay, all right, so you would press confirm if you were adding take profits along the way. All right, so now we're back to our trade. Okay, we're still in the positive. We're up 1.3%, which is obviously more than the bank has ever given you. Okay, but we need to figure out a little bit more about our trade. Okay, so now we are just kind of looking around. Things are doing well, right? Our margin is okay, our mark price. But look at that number to the right called liq price. That's liquidation price. Okay, that number is key. Okay, because when it's low, that means that we have a lot of give. So we can actually add to our leverage, meaning that we can add to the multiplier of our money. Let's bump this up, maybe as high as 20x. I think we'll be good with 20x. And you would want to do this ideally when you're about 500 to 1,000 pips away from your entry. But for the sake of this exercise, we're going to bump it up right now. Okay, so we're going to smash that 20x. Okay, and we are going to press confirm. All right, cool. So after that delay, right, we're now at 20x. So it appears as if our gains are now more, but it's increased as of the point of the change. So be aware of that, okay? All right. So with that being said, we actually have a trade that's going pretty well. We're on 20x. We have our stop. We have our final take profit. Right? But what if your trade was going really well and you wanted to have absolute peace of mind with regards to your trading style? Well, that's when you would look at getting your trade into risk-free status. So a risk-free trade is when you no longer have to worry about winning or losing. This is my ROE. You just hit that kind of square with an arrow looking button to the top right. It's not too hot, but obviously I have other trades that I've posted that have gone 50, 75, 100, and my best one so far is just over 640% in the span of about 12 hours. Okay, so now let's look at what it looks like on a better trade. Okay, so yeah, okay, that's okay. Enough of that. All right, cool. So now we want to know how to get our trade into a more risk-free status. Kind of looking at the market, we don't want to pull the trigger too early, but for the sake of the exercise here, I'm going to show you how to put the trade into risk-free status. Okay, so assuming the trade was about 500 or 1,000 pips away from your entry point, you would have 100% of your trade, okay, come out at a particular number, right? So in this case, we would actually set it up so that 100% of our trade will come out at, let's kind of like look at the market here for a moment, just one moment. Okay, you see we're printing some red, right? Chart looks pretty healthy. Okay, cool. So yeah, imagine if we were at like over 51,180. Just imagine. That's a time that we would be well over 700 pips away from entry. And that would be a great time to just go to risk-free. So what I would do is I would look at my entry price, and then I'd simply just put that as my trigger price for 100% of my trade to end at that point. Okay, so now this trade is officially risk-free. You cannot lose money except for a small, tiny amount based on, of course, the risk, or rather the trading fees from Binance, so maybe 5 cents. So I can't lose more than, for example, 5 cents on this trade. That's pretty amazing, but I can gain up to a couple of dollars on this trade. So my risk to reward is extremely high now. So if you enjoyed this guide, smash the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you.